So today I am showing you how I am changing things up. Yes, I think I say that frequently. I change things up a lot, and I like that. I like that I try new things, and I find out what works for me. And right now there's something different that's working for me. So today I am working on Transformations, which is a Heaven and Earth Designs. It is by Stephanie Pui Mun Law. And what is working for me now is stitching in hand. I've had other videos where I stitched in hand, so it's not completely a new thing. It's been something I've been trying. And the reason why this is what's working for me is, well, I don't know why this is what's working for me, but I figured it out because I had taken a break from stitching. I just, when I would sit down to do stuff, stitching was not, I didn't reach for my stitching. So what I did was I purchased a new kit, which, isn't always a solution, but worked for me in this case. I used one of those, I think this is for quilting, to like hold your edges. Works really well to hold that. So I purchased a new kit and I started stitching on it without a hoop, without just stitching in hand. And I really enjoyed it. And so I thought, well, let me go back and take one of my projects and stitch on it in hand like I've seen Stitchin' Mommy. So a lot of what I do is kind of highly influenced by what Stitchin' Mommy does or how Stitchin' Mommy works. Kind of tweaked things based on how I like to do things, but all in all, it's pretty similar to how she does it. And I have to say, she was the first stitcher who I saw talking about stitching full coverage pieces in hand. I've seen people stitch samplers, and a lot of times they do the sewing method, which I've tried the sewing method. My stitches don't turn out very nicely when I do the sewing method, so I don't like the sewing method personally. But she was the first person who I saw stitching in hand using I want to say it's like poke and stab. I want to call it the poke and stab method. I don't know if that's officially what it's called, but something like that. Stab and pull something. Yeah, so the reason I'm just going to start stitching here. And the reason I started stitching this way is because I have been having some issues, and I think I have a couple other videos where I show this also, but I have been having issues with my left elbow and my left hand. Usually when I stitch, I would stitch in a hoop or a frame or something like that, hoop, frame, Q-snap, and I would stitch two-handed, and my left hand would be the hand that would be on top. And so with my left hand, I would be doing this big motion of grabbing the needle and then pulling it out. And so there was a lot of movement in my elbow, and that was causing me some issues. I have carpal tunnel. I'm trying to make sure I'm stitching on camera here, which was one of the issues I thought I'd have with stitching in hand and filming it, was I have to make sure I stay in the camera view. So the way that I would stitch two-handed, and my left elbow was getting sore frequently. And unfortunately, when it gets sore, not only do I have to slow down on my stitching, but I also have to, it affects my work because I do a lot of typing for the work that I do. So that's, you know, that's never a good thing. And I have tried different methods in the hoop and frames where I'm not doing that big motion with my left hand. It just wasn't working. It felt really cumbersome. That's a big word for me to be using there. It felt cumbersome to be stitching. I don't know. And plus, I kind of like just picking up and stitching wherever, you know, I want, sitting cross-legged on the couch without having a big frame or bringing all of that with me. Oh, trying to figure out. Okay, I think maybe if I stay over here. I can't really. Doo-ba-doo. There's my nail. Okay. I was trying to see where I was in the camera. So I still own all of my frames, Q-snaps. I don't have any plans to give any of that away because I may go back to stitching that way. But for now, I'm really enjoying stitching in hand, and this is the way that is making the time I spend stitching just more enjoyable. And I think that's what it comes down to, is finding what's more enjoyable for you, because you know, while two-handed I can get, I've never even timed myself, honestly, so I don't know if that's much faster. But if I'm not doing it as often, then it doesn't matter how quickly I can get the stitches done, because I'm just not reaching for it. Yeah, I have a lot of hobbies, and so it's not a problem that I was doing other things, but I definitely wanted to get back to stitching. It just felt kind of, I was kind of dreading it. And, you know, I didn't want that to be the case. So anyways, so now, now I am stitching in hand. And like I said, a lot of this is highly influenced from watching Stitchin' Mommy, because she does such beautiful full coverage pieces and talks about how she can do it in hand. And I thought, okay, if she can stitch those beautiful pieces in hand, I can stitch in hand. And I absolutely am enjoying it. I'm enjoying stitching more now that I can just sit and grab everything. And yeah, so this is what's working for me. The other thing is I tried some new needles. So my favorite needles, just because I like the way they feel in my hands, my favorite needles are Bowen needles. Bowen, where's my camera? Bowen, you can't really see because the sticker's on there. Tapestry hand needles. I usually use, I just buy size 26. use that for everything. I also use these John James needles. They're fine. Inexpensive. Again, size 26. What? Pat Carson. I think I had bought like a package of 25 Pat Carsons, maybe. But I had seen these Easy Guide ball tip needles from Sullivan's, and I purchased these. I purchased them off Amazon, size 26. There's a nice cat hair in there. And if you've never seen these, I'll show you. The tip, oh, it was just itchy. Maybe if I get something dark background. Can you see right there? I don't know how to best show that, but that is like a, see if I can focus in. Can you see that ballpoint kind of? I don't know. I'm trying to show you. Oh, wait, was that the right? So, yeah. Yeah, so basically it like, that might be better. You can see that it kind of gets that ballpoint tip. So the point of it is a mini ball at the tip to, let me see what it says. Helps you navigate through Aida and other linens effortlessly. The ball and easily finds, in quotes, finds the right spot in your fabric. These needles will help guide every hand stitch you make. So I purchased them. I want to say they cost off Amazon like $9 or something for two. So like $4.50 each, which is kind of expensive compared to, you know, the other brands. And I tried them and they're fine. Where'd my needle go? Where's my needle? Look at it. They're fine, but they're so grabby. And then I realized, like, for me, I don't really have a problem with my needle finding where it needs to go. Like, that's not really... as I say that, I struggle to make my stitch. I don't know. The one thing I found, so for example, like right there, I just kind of put it through the wrong, right? It just went in the wrong hole, and then I pulled it out. With the ball point ones, there was a little bit of friction bringing the needle back out when you put it in the wrong hole, and that actually kind of annoyed me. I didn't like that. And I tend to, I don't know, I guess maybe I should just not put the needle in the wrong hole, but I do. And when that happens and there's that little bit of friction pulling it back out, see, like earlier when I just did that and I pulled back out and it came out effortlessly. When there's that little bit of friction to pull back, I didn't like that. So I'm going to keep it because I haven't tried it on different fabrics yet. I want to try it on some of my different projects, different fabrics, and see, maybe I'll like it better. But not my favorite. The other thing is the way I now end my stitches, or even start some of my stitches, is by running my needle through the back underneath a few stitches, and the ball end kind of makes that a little more difficult. It's not as smooth to go under stitches. So I'm glad I tried them, and they are definitely a unique design and something different to try. So you know, I would suggest, if you've seen them and you think you might be interested, yeah, definitely give it a try. I also know I'm pretty particular about the way things feel in my hand. And so I could see how, like, that little bit of friction when I make a mistake and need to go in a different hole, that little bit of friction annoys me, and it could probably be fine for other people, just like not a big deal. But my sensory about that, my sensitivity to that, just made it not my favorite needle to use. What else? Okay, I'm gonna stop this now, and this is how so before, when I was stitching in a frame or hoop or whatever, I was ending this way. So for example, I just finished making this stitch right here. And so if I was still in the frame, what I would do is I would pull my needle down to this, you know, go, what, almost 20 stitches down, do a little half stitch, and then pull the end up and trim it there. That's what I would do. And it would look like this. See, like that? And then I work stitches over it and tack it in place, and then I trim the ends. But since I now stitch in hand, I can just flip it over and run under some stitches. Trim my end and call it good. See, I think that's a lot, for me, that's a lot easier to do also. Okay. My eye is itchy. All right. So what I'm trying to do right now on this project is I want to work in, I was working in all of my parked threads. And the reason some of these are still parked here is because the next stitches need to go somewhere where I was doing that end, that half stitch end. But I didn't want to take those half stitches out yet because I don't feel like those ends are tacked down enough. So now I'm going back, I'm going to finish off as much as I can in here, tack those ends, take them out, and then we'll be good to go. You know? So let me show you. So I store my floss on, let's see, so I store my floss on bobbins, but some of my floss, for example, this one was cut really short. And so what I do is I will, when it's cut this short, instead of looping it and doing a loop start, I will separate out 2 strands. And use my threader. Put my floss back on. So I have 2 strands there, right here, and then I'm going to be stitching kind of in this area here. And so what I'm going to do is just kind of get an idea of where I'm going to be stitching it. Run my end through. They were uneven, so that's... Yeah, so the other difference between how I stitch in hand and how Stitch and Mommy stitches in hand is that she rolls up the bottom of her fabric and holds on to her work that way. And I tried it that way, and I didn't like holding it that way because then I was kind of holding it like this, sort of, which felt weird on my wrist. And so this, holding it on the side, feels more natural, but I like rolling it like that. I also prefer my roll being underneath my hand, so that's why I roll it this way, and I'm touching all over my stitching. And that doesn't bother me because, I mean, I'm going to end up washing my stitching. So touching it, like, it's not that big of a deal. I do wash my hands before I start stitching, and I just pulled my thread off. The other reason why stitching in hand works well for me is because I can hold my project as close to my eyeballs as I need to, because my vision is not the greatest. You know, the other thing I kind of thought about is like, okay, hold on, let me mark some stitches here first before I lose track of what I'm doing. The other thing is, and I'm not too concerned about it, but could be like, which is faster? Am I a faster stitcher when I'm stitching two-handed? And I think probably I was pretty quick at that, but you know, not that big of a deal if I was hurting myself or just not stitching, not enjoying the process. The other thing I'm trying to pay more attention to, I don't always, but I try to pay more attention to, is how my stitches are, like trying not to elongate any stitches. So for example, I'm going down in the bottom right because I'm working my way back up. So this thread behind here is pulling back up versus getting elongated, versus if I had gone down to the top and then it would have been pulling and make it longer. I don't know if that makes any sense. So I just drank some iced coffee. But I buy the bottle of iced Starbucks. I usually buy the Starbucks brand. Sometimes I'll buy other brands of iced coffee, because when I make coffee and then I don't make it very well. You know, it tastes a lot better when it is Starbucks brand. And it is cheaper for me to buy the one in the freezer. It lasts me a couple days. It's like $5. So it's like $2.50 versus going to Starbucks and getting at Starbucks every day. You know. So I rationalize it that way versus me just making my coffee. I just have a Keurig, and I will tell you that my Keurig the coffee just doesn't taste as good. So I buy my Starbucks iced coffee, and no, to be fair, it probably lasts me 3 days. One bottle probably lasts me 3 days. Is that a lot of coffee to be drinking? I don't know. I drink a lot of water too. I always have my iced coffee and my water near me. I don't think that's a lot of coffee because like I don't start shaking or anything, but I tried a Starbucks concentrate. They sell it just on the shelf. It's not refrigerated. That did not do it for me. In case you were wondering. All right. Now, I did like parking because, you know, you were able to just work stitches like as they were presented. Like when I went stitch by stitch parking and stuff like that. But now it's like jumping all over the place and figuring out the best path to take, you know, to get something stitched. Like, oh, do I go here? Do I go there? I try not to make it that big of a deal, and I just pick a, you know, where do I want to go next? Okay, that's it. That's where I'm going. But I'm just saying, sometimes sometimes I'd like to not have to make that decision and just what else can I tell you about how I'm stitching this? I think when I end this, I think I'll call it good. You know, maybe work on a different project. We'll see. I am so glad that you all decided to, as soon as I finish this, I'll open up and kind of show you the project again so far. But I'm so glad that you all decided to join me for today's video. I hope that you found this interesting. Oh, shoot. Yeah. Oh, right at the end, and then the needle is just like super aggressive on my stitching, and get that needle back on there. Wait. Oh, jeez. Oh, what was I? Oh, wait, what was I doing? And then that's how I end it. That's it. Simple, easy peasy. There you go. Just, you know, working through it. All right, thank you so much for joining me. I have some other fun videos planned, so I'll see you next time. Have a good day and happy stitching. Bye.